it doesn't seem to be ending soon, so we just don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's really playing it by ear.
It is, yeah. How about what part of Australia are you from?
I'm from Queensland, so
Yeah,
we've actually been really lucky up here. We have had maybe like 3 weeks of, oh gosh, less than that. Yeah, maybe 3 weeks of lockdown
yeah,
all up.
yeah, yeah.
So it's pretty much business as usual here. So yeah, we're really, really for look, being on an island helps, having a smaller population, being able to close our borders for the states, like all of that helps. And people took it seriously here, so that always helps too.
Definitely helps. So, um, what time is it where you are right now?
It is 9 a.m.
Oh, wow, nice and early.
What about for you?
It is 11 p.m. So,
Right. Well, thank you for doing it so late.
no, it's absolutely fine. In a way, I kind of like my interviews kind of quite late because it kind of it's not that hectic as
Uh-huh.
it is in the
Yes.
day. But it's
Yeah.
funny. I interviewed Julio not
Oh,
long ago,
really?
and it was
Oh,
at 11
wonderful.
p.m. as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
yeah. So, I've obviously known you from Gabrielle's Inferno, and you you are absolutely fantastic
Thank you so
actress.
much.
But what I want to talk about is your journey. So how did you get into acting first?
Oh, well, I was when I left school, I was like I always sort of enjoyed doing like a little bit of acting stuff in school, but I was never going to do that. I thought it was for very, very beautiful and very, very deluded people, and I thought I was much too smart and practical for that. So I went and started studying something else, and it was grating on my soul. And I deferred from that course, and it was actually my parents who sat me down and said, "Look, you really love acting. You can do anything later. You should give this a go now." And there was one course left open, kind of in the country, and I applied and I got in. And after that, I went straight into doing a lot of theatre. So
Mm,
a lot of big classics. I
yeah,
played Juliet and Romeo and Juliet and Eliza Doolittle in Pygmalion
yeah.
and lots of stage work. And then I had to start saying no to that
Mm,
so I could actually be free for film because, as you know, theatre takes that huge blocks of time.
mm,
And then, yeah, then I started transitioning into films and got very organically a US manager and then started working over in the States. And then, yeah, then started doing voiceover stuff and also everything in my journeys, you know, worked very, very hard, but everything sort of opened up one step
mm.
at a time very organically for me. So it kind of was always the feeling that I was on the right path
Yeah,
because, you know, it felt like you're in the flow of the direction that you should be heading in. Because you know
yeah,
the opposite feeling when you're like you keep banging your head up against a wall and you're like, is this what I should be doing or the relationship I should be in or whatever, because you can feel like it's not, you know, it's like the universe isn't conspiring for this
yeah,
direction. But I always felt like that was sort of happening. So I did that and then got into voiceovers. And there's a wonderful cartoon I voice in called Bluey, which is on Disney. And
oh wow,
um, it's actually currently the most watched show in Australia. So
that is
it's
amazing.
really so beautiful and it's had a huge social impact as well. So many parents, particularly fathers, say it's changed the way they're parenting. It's really very beautiful, very centered around creative play and just gorgeous. So that side of things, and then once again, Gabriel's Inferno happened very organically,
Yeah.
very out of the blue. They were looking, obviously, when something's based on a book, having someone who looks and energetically feels
Yeah.
like the character is so
Yeah.
important. Um, so I think they were looking very specifically for someone, and then out of the blue, my manager's like, "Oh, the director of this film wants to have a Skype with you." I was like, "I've got no idea what this is." And then I read the script, and we had a chat, and I fell in love with Tosca because she's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest is history.
So, when you started acting, did you ever have a point where you thought, you know what, I'm actually really good at this? And if so, when was it?
Um, I don't know if I ever had a point where I went, "I'm really good at this." I definitely had points when I went, "I love this."
Yeah.
Um, I think it was a cumulative thing
Mm,
when, when I went straight into work out of university, and I was just so grateful. I was like, because I was never going to be an actor, and I never had ideas of, I never wanted to be, go, I'm famous or anything like that. That was never an interest. I love telling stories, and I love being part of stories. That's what's important to me. And
mm,
so things that happened, I was just like, "Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful." And until I got to the point where I was like, "Oh no, I work really hard." And that's why the work is still
yeah.
coming. And I so I don't know if there was ever a point I went, "Oh, I'm really good at this." I still don't feel like that. I still feel like
Mm,
I'm learning and finding things and searching in the dark. And I think whenever you hit a level, then it's like an onion. You peel that level, and then the next layer is there of
yeah.
stuff you need to work on, and the next place you want to be at, and the next goal or level of your work you want to unlock. So I don't know if I ever feel like that. I still struggle watching myself. I love the work, hate watching myself. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah. I think when I think of Australian actors, I feel a lot of the Aussie actors go through the rite of passage, whether it's through Neighbours and Home and Away. But it seems like you've avoided that. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I think because my early career was so theatre heavy, and
Mm,
that was sort of where my passion started. I think the love of the words was really what got me with theatre,
yeah.
because and I guess film and TV is changing more in that direction. But when you think how long someone takes to write a play, and also you're doing these texts that were written by people hundreds of years ago. There's for me, there's something so much, like, I love Shakespeare. I love, these wonderful writers in both novels and playwrights. So I think it was the language that attracted me
Mm,
originally. So I wouldn't say Neighbours or Home and Away have quite the same prose. But in saying that, those places are like, the reason there is that rite of passage is it's
mm,
like rec theatre in a way. You're constantly there, you're working on set all the time, and you do build this sort of like foundation of knowing that craft. And for me,
mm.
that was actually a big jump, and that was a big searching in the dark. So I think a lot of those, and you're working really hard, you're shooting really fast. So I think people who have come through those channels, I think it's quite admirable that those people work real hard and real
Mhm.
fast, and I think it does lay a foundation for those actors.
Yeah. So were you a Neighbours or Home and Away girl?
I okay, I'm going to admit something. I have never watched either show.
I'm surprised.
Well, I didn't watch a lot of TV as a kid. My
Yeah,
parents were kind of anti
yeah.
TV. Like, I'm one of six, so it was more we were all
Yeah.
playing together. Look, and I think when you look at a lot of people who end up quite creative, TV when they were young, someone like um, Donald Glover,
Mm,
no TV. There is a level of creativity and play that you have to do creating yourself, but no, I've never watched either show.
yeah.
How
um,
about you? Were you a Neighbours or Home and Away?
I was a home and away girl, definitely.
And what distinguish is it? Because there's more at the beach there. Tell me the difference. So there's Summer Bay and there's what's Neighbours? Ramsay Street? I
Yeah,
know that.
exactly. I think it's that you just get hooked on one, but I think, well, I haven't watched it for years and years now, but it does remind me of childhood for sure.
Yes, of course. And
Mm,
and it's like, I guess with those shows that are on every day,
mm,
you get, it's like they're with, you're traveling with them
yeah,
because you're with this, like, this ensemble of
yeah,
characters.
yeah.
And I think in school those things are a bonding thing as well, which I didn't have, but that's all right.
So, do you, I'm assuming yes, but do you know a lot of the Australian actors who are now in LA?
Oh yes, there are. Well, many from those, but just so many Australian actors in
Yeah.
general. There's like an Australian actor mafia in LA. You can't go anywhere, particularly in West Hollywood, without running into an Australian. So uh,
It's so nice though, because
it is lovely. But
yeah,
I actually have a lot of friends over there who are American and not Australian.
yeah,
Of course, I've got beautiful Australian friends over there, but it's really lovely to have locals like that I've met through classes or that I've worked with and who've become these, such dear friends. And so it's like having a second home
yeah,
with an American cohort, which is really lovely.
yeah, yeah. Well, you're the second Aussie celeb I'm talking to. The first one was was Guy Sebastian.
Oh, no way! Oh, he seems like a lovely human.
I didn't interview him, but I think it needs to be done. But he
Yeah.
sent me this. He sent me like a message because he knew that I was a fan. So
Oh, it's so
years
lovely.
ago, I got into kind of randomly watching X Factor Australia on YouTube.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my link with Australia, and now you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, working with Julio, what was the best thing?
Oh, look, he's such a joy to work with. We actually instantly clicked. I was terrified because we didn't chemistry test
Yeah,
for a romance film, which I think is insane, but it's really testament to Tosca's gut on these things. She knows, she's just so clear. So I was like,
so
oh,
what did that involve, the test?
oh, we didn't. We
Oh,
didn't
sorry. Yeah,
chemistry test,
yeah.
which is just like wild for a romance. But Julia and I Skyped and we instantly got on. And which, can you imagine how bad that would be if we didn't? That would just be like the
That'd
worst.
be awkward. Yeah.
um, but we got on really well. And we're really similar in that we're so committed to the work. We're both super diligent. We're both curious
Yeah.
about characters and script and our arcs and journey together. He's also someone who's so present when you're working with him. He's so there with you in the moment. So, of course, as an actor, that was just so wonderful to have someone who just as committed as you are. But then he's just also really fun and funny and, you know, kind and smart. And all of that's as on a human level is just wonderful. But I think the best part is having someone that you feel safe with, that you
Mhm.
really trust and respect. It just it means freedom.
Yeah.
When you feel safe with someone, then you can feel free to
Mm.
try things, feel free to really let go. All of those things, like it's
Yeah.
it's magic when you have
Yeah.
someone that you can really trust.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like Gabriel's Inferno is kind of like a very, very PG um, version of 50 Shades, but without the extreme scenes.
Well, I think they have the same source material.
Yeah,
Um, so, there will be similarities there. Uh, where I feel like Gabriel's is much more less about, you know, the sexual
yeah,
connection and more about the soul connection of
yeah,
these two people.
yeah. But
But, obviously there's correlations because of the
yeah,
source material.
yeah. I think you and Julia would have done a far superior job in 50 Shades.
Oh, look, I haven't seen 50 Shades. But that's lovely of you to say.
Without a doubt. So, are you part Italian?
I am half Italian. My last name's Zanetti, very
Yeah,
Italian. On my dad's side, and they're all. I think my nonno's family is from the north, out just outside Milan, a place
yeah,
called Brescia, and my nonna's family is from just outside Turin.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you fluent in Italian?
Oh no, nothing. So my grandparents didn't speak to my father in
Yeah,
Italian. He can
yeah.
understand, but it was that time in Australia, which is so sad, when people were trying to naturalize, trying to
Mm,
neutralize their culture, which was comes from racism and all of that stuff. So it wasn't really something that was
yeah,
passed down.
yeah,
So I can say a couple of little things.
yeah,
Um, During lockdown, I started my Duolingo. That waned a bit. I need to get back onto that. I'd love to speak Italian,
yeah.
um, which just means go learn it and do it. So no, unfortunately, I don't. I'm
Yeah.
useless.
Because I asked because I thought maybe that was another connection you might have had with Julio.
Oh, I wish.
So, uh, with your career, like, where would you love to be? Like, what would be your kind of dream role?
Interesting. Look, I love period pieces.
Yeah,
That's period piece face.
definitely. Yeah,
Um, and and then the language, the world creation. Um, but I think for me, anything where I'm working with great people,
yeah,
I'm being challenged, and I'm a solvent artist, that's the dream.
yeah,
Just to be able, and I've been so fortunate to be able to play so many different roles. I haven't been pigeonholed into anything. That's been such a joy, and yeah, just keeping challenged, and one of the most wonderful things about being in this industry is all these people who you would never have met, except that you're flung together to tell a story, from all, places in the world and
yeah,
all different ages. Like, I have friends who are, in their 50s and 60s, who are some of my dearest friends, and friends who are, much younger than me. And I think in a lot of industries, you don't get that, not on the same level, because you're working together in such an
mm,
emotional, heart vulnerable way. It transcends age barriers and life barriers,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a really magical part of being in this industry.
Yeah. And you're right about that. I could see you in Bridgerton easily.
Oh, wonderful! Let them know that.
um, so, what would you say you've really learnt being an actor? Because, of course, it's not an easy job. It's probably one of the hardest jobs in terms of you want certain roles, but if there's so many going for that role, you're not going to get it. So, what has this made you learn?
um, so much resilience is needed. Um, but I think what's really interesting is I feel like in terms of like human personal development, being an actor can really fast track you in certain life skills
Mm,
that, you know, uh, are wonderful to have. For example, letting go of certainty. You
mm,
don't have any.
mm,
You have to learn to live in a place that you don't have control over, and make peace, and not just peace, but make love to a place where you have to relinquish control. And look, control is really, it's a fabrication. We don't have control.
mm,
But learning to be able to roll with the punches and be able to, sit in and hold a space of uncertainty and not ride that roller coaster of the up and down, the up down. Will I get this role? Won't I? I'm close. It
mm,
doesn't happen. Something wonderful is going to happen, and now it's conflicting with something else. Like having to just, not hold so tightly onto anything, and eh, be also being really present.
mm,
um, so much of our lives, because of the way the world's structured and capitalism and everything, we're always looking forward to the future, like what should I be doing, and then stuck in the past with past mistakes. Because the work demands that you're present, it helps you be more present in your everyday life as well, and really experiencing and appreciating the moments of you know wonder and beauty and awe, because time goes really fast. You've only got one of these. You've only got one precious life.
yeah.
In the words of Mary Oliver, what will you do with this one precious life? And I think um, acting really does help you, yeah, stay in the moment, and just help you deal with you know disappointment, and
Mm,
like getting used to going, okay, if this is what I want, if this, like, I am happy, is if every choice there's a sacrifice. Every choice you make in
mm,
life, you choose something, it means you're not choosing something else. I think it has helped me get really clear about like which crap sandwiches I'm willing to eat, which ones I'm like, no, that is not for me. So yeah, lots of things.
would you say it's almost harder to say no to opportunities?
Oh yes, yes, I think so. I think um I turned down a lot of theatre. I'd got
Mm,
to a place where I was really, working pretty constantly and loving it, but I knew I wanted to start this, transition, and
mm,
a feature had come along once again very organically, and
mm,
I decided I wanted to be working more on that, and it was hard. It was hard saying no to things, because there's always that feeling of, will opportunities come? Will I then have nothing?
yeah.
And so you really have to be clear of purpose, I
Mm,
think.
yeah. Yeah, it's I really admire you guys for that resilience. you have, because you just never know when that film or that series can, put you on the, the world stage.
Well,
Because
I think also you have to make the choice. Do you love this? If that
Mhm.
does not happen, if that never happens, do you love this enough for what, it brings to the world, for what it brings to others? Is this the doing, not the
Mm,
going or the being, like the is this
yeah,
here now, is that enough? And that is the question you're asking yourself all the time. And up until this point, the answer has always been yes for me. But
yeah,
that is something, people check in all the time. And I think it really does make you, if you're doing this because you want to be famous, like, go and be an Instagram influencer. It's
mm,
much easier.
mm,
You've got to know, if you want to have some sort of peace, you have to really know why you're doing this.
it's interesting that you mentioned Instagram, because in this day and age, social media is so important. Um, in having a platform, doesn't matter what you do, whether you're an actor,
Mhm.
journalist, anything. Do you feel that way, that there's a certain pressure for you to, show what you're doing to followers, etc.?
um Honestly, like, I think I felt sometimes a feeling of people wanting me to maybe post a little more, share a little more,
Yeah.
but um I really try and remain authentic to who I am.
Mm,
I post things that I find aesthetically pleasing, or I think are beautiful, or a shot I like, or some poetry I've written, or um, but I have rules. I only post things when I'm in a really good place.
yeah.
Um, and it's just to share, and it can never be seeking anything.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually don't feel a lot of pressure, and I've got to say that the people who follow Passion Flicks or Bluey, for example, who are, make up, besides my friends, the majority of my followers, they're such lovely people and
Yeah.
so kind and
Yeah.
so friendly. And I know that every community is not necessarily like that, and I feel like so fortunate to yeah, have these really wonderful communities. And it's probably mainly women, which I love.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with having a predominantly female following.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, because many of yours and Julio's fans, they were the ones telling me to interview you both. So
Oh, right.
they are so supportive of you both. It's
They're just
incredible.
incredible. I feel so overwhelmed all the time with just the level of, like, love and kindness. It's so lovely.
And you've got a massive following in Brazil.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that the books have really struck there, which is lovely.
Yeah. So, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes.
Um, are you doing anything special?
Um, am I doing anything special? Yes, I am. I'm gonna leave it there. But for me, Valentine's Day, I think, um, I really like, I'm not into the commercialization of Valentine's Day, but I do think, not just in terms of celebrating the love of a
Mm,
partner, but celebrating all the different types of love that we
yeah,
experience in our lives, like, for all the beautiful friendships and family, but also just things in our lives that can feel romantic and
mm,
beautiful, like, you know, sunrises and things that smell delicious and
yeah,
things that, like, artwork that fills us with a sense of like
Yeah,
wonder and awe, and that feeling of romance, which I think you can have, that doesn't necessarily have to be surrounded or connected to a romantic partner.
yeah,
So that's really the focus of my Valentines this year.
yeah. I totally agree with you, especially with the pandemic. It's
Mm,
made us, reflect on what's really important. And,
absolutely.
you don't need to go to some, fancy restaurant to, have a good time or to celebrate with your loved one. You can
Absolutely.
enjoy the same at home.
Totally. And that, the pandemic's made us, in a lot of ways, get creative with
Mm,
how we communicate with each other and with how we show love.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of amazing, with the whole Zoom chats, that if it wasn't for this kind of technology, um, it would be actually quite difficult at time like this.
I know. I think we are so fortunate to be living through this pandemic.
Yeah,
It's awful, obviously, and so many people have been through such a
yeah.
like horrifically horrible time. Um, but I think in comparing it to something like the Spanish flu, which there wasn't it definitely wasn't Zoom. Um, that there is ways of communicating, and not just with each other, but also just spreading information so people
Mm,
know what's happening and can stay safe. There's a lot of ills in the modern world, but there's also incredible. Like, as a woman, I wouldn't want to be born in any other time in history.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what are you doing for the rest of the day?
Rest of my day. Um, I am running around madly because I am uh, leaving the country very soon,
Yeah.
um, to resume filming on the next installment of Gabriel's Rapture.
Oh wow.
So,
Yeah.
yes, so the next little while will be very busy for me, but great. How about you? What are you doing for the rest of your? Oh, it's 12. It's 11, 12,
It,
almost 11:30.
yeah.
So probably heading towards bed.
Yeah. Heading towards bed, probably posting a little bit of this interview just to
Oh, lovely.
um, make the followers a bit
Whet
excited
the
about you.
appetite.
Sorry.
I said to whet the appetite.
Exactly. Exactly. So you'll be reunited with Julia very soon.
Yes, that's on the cards.
Yeah. I have absolutely loved interviewing you. I've loved this chat. It hasn't even felt like an interview at all.
It's been such a joy. So lovely to meet you.
Likewise, like you and Julia are just some of the loveliest people I've met, and this is why
Oh,
I love my job as well.
oh, it's been so lovely meeting you.
Oh, likewise, and I can't wait to interview you again.
That'd be great. For sure. Let's do it again.
And oh, have you been to London?
Yes, I the last time I was in London was 2015. Um, and I filmed a movie with an Englishman, and in America, and he'd invited me to come see him in London, and we had a fabulous time. We went to Latitude Festival.
Yeah.
He was performing there, and and we went to
Yeah, very well.
Cambridge, which is like a fairy city.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so beautiful. Gosh, we did a million things. It was so wonderful. I fell in love, but I was also there in the summer. I was like, this place is magic. He's like, this is the best weather you're ever gonna get here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, is he quite well known?
He's I don't know. He's a comic actor in England. Yes, I'm going to leave it there because he is quite well known.
You love doing that to me because now
Oh
I'm
yes, I'm
looking at
very
you
private.
now.
No, you probably know who he is, so I'm going to keep that private.
Oh well, if you're ever in London again, um, I will have to meet you because
Absolutely.
I've already
Once this pandemic is done, it's going to
definitely,
happen.
definitely. It's so lovely seeing you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
And good luck for the next film. I can't wait to watch it on Passion6.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.